All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Back at it again with another MLB DFS slate. Before we get into today's slate, yesterday was pretty good. We had about two bats go absolutely nuclear, and everyone else did their job, I guess. Finally picked a pitcher that didn't get rocked. So anything else? I mean, that's kind of the Spark Notes version of what happened yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, our stacks were fine just because, one bat from each stack did well, Dubon and Bichette, but a little disappointing from the big bats between Vladdy, Bregman, and Jordan. The Dodgers are what you really needed to get to the top yesterday. We're really on them at least as a whole stack, and they came through as a whole stack. I mean, Peralta got like 40, Hayward had 30, Betts had 30, so Dodgers went yard a couple times, took him to the top, but slate was fine. We cashed third slate in a row after a little slump last week. So hopefully today's more of the same.
Yeah, this is a very interesting slate. There's good pieces all around, but let's start with pitchers. I kind of just laugh when I see this. I'll share the screen and show everyone. Hate that it does this. All right, so right now it's showing. Uh, so I have this ranked as like the top pitcher. So Garrett Cole, Urias, Gallon, Hunter Brown, Joe Ryan. I would say those are my five to consider. I mean, 11.8 for Gallon is unbelievable, but what do you think about this?
Yeah, so the guys I have written down right now, we got Ryan Brown, Urias, Cole, Peralta, Gray, Waka is like the guys' consideration on FanDuel. Gallon's just too expensive at 11.8. Cole's fine by lower K prop than usual for him. I think he's sitting at 6.5. He's usually around 8. Joe Ryan in a game he should win against the White Sox is fine at 11K. Hunter Brown, the same scenario. He's like minus 200 and 5.5K prop against San Fran. Peralta, little trickier spot in cores, but the Colorado lineup sucks, so they're fine. I mean, he's fine. Ashcraft not a priority today, even though he's one of the more talented arms on the slate. Urias looks good here at one minus 160 and 5.5K prop. Kikuchi, nah. Sandoval, no. Gray, I guess just more of like a price pay. He's 8K. I'd rather play somebody else though. And then Waka's what 7K flat against Cincinnati, so he looks fine too. And that's probably where I round out the pool today.
Yeah, you kind of took everything. I mean, there really isn't much to get to. Watkins projected for 17%, 7K against Cincy. I understand that you can get through a lot of bats. Hunter Brown is standing out to me a little bit. We know what he's about. I mean, a lot of people are going to go with Cole. I don't think Gallon's only projected for two at 11.8. You can save a little bit of money going with Hunter Brown, and we know what he's capable of after being a little questionable, and not a lot of people knew who he was or what he can do. But he's looked good. He's got a decent matchup against San Fran. Joe Ryan's popping out a lot because he's only projected for 0.5% ownership, and against the White Sox that can't hit a ball to save their life, even though they just won. They're looking a little better, but I expect another 10-game losing streak. So I mean, Joe Ryan at 11K and like Hunter Brown are like kind of my top two. Urias I kind of like because there's a little bit of a discount at 9,400. So, and obviously out of those three that I mentioned, Urias is supposed to be the highest owned pitcher, but 9,400 there looks good as well.
Yeah,
Waka,
I agree with you there. I think Brown and Urias are probably priority. I think Brown, I mean, his first start was the most questionable one. I mean, he went 4 2/3 against Detroit, and then he went 7 innings, 7 innings. Tough matchup against Atlanta, but still had 7Ks the next time, 4 2/3, and then 7 innings again. So he probably is maybe the highest, and one of the higher ceilings on the day. So at 10-2, he looks pretty good.
Yeah. With Waka as well, like I said, 7K playing against Cincy, I get it, and you can also get a bunch of bets. But there's just too many good pitch. Like if it was like a small slate like yesterday, what was his smell? 76
I think it
something?
was AK flat, but he was like 45% owned.
If it was something similar like that, I could understand getting to Waka, but there, like I said, there's just too many good pitchers to get to today where like you can spend a little more and know what you know their capabilities, you know their ceiling. Um, you ready to do stacks? This is the more interesting part.
Yeah.
All right, let me share. So, to no surprise, we got Milwaukee at Coors, Toronto at Boston. God, I hate Minnesota. Minnesota, third best stack, and it kind of just drops off a little here. I agree with like the first like five, if I'm being honest, in terms of the order. What do you think about some of these other stacks that aren't getting as much love? Is there something that's like standing out that the data isn't getting into, or maybe that the field won't really get to?
Yeah, so I don't mind targeting the Red Sox again. Um, I think Kikuchi, I mean, he's had some decent starts as of late, but I'm just going to take a risk on his variance that he's an up and down type of guy. Maybe just gets a couple earned in the first couple innings, and then they yank him after five, and then he gets to play against. I'm going to get to play against the bullpen. Um, and we know that lineup has got power up and down it. I think Kike Hernandez was projected to hit fifth today. Got Devers, Verdugo, the rest of the squad. So I like them as a stack. And then obviously the top five percentage stacks were guys I like. I mean, I really like the Twins, I guess. I hate saying that because they never ever come through. But if you match that data with Ballpark Pals, they just project so great against Kopech. So that's probably where I'll land, and it's not going to be good.
I hate Minnesota so much. I kind of like Seattle, San Diego as well. I know Ashcraft is pretty good, but I mean, you know, in terms of if you ask like anyone that has some common sense of baseball, San Diego or Cincinnati, probably besides you, they're gonna say San Diego is gonna win. So I mean, you kind of have like that winning upside. So that means that they're gonna have to get some hits and produce. Houston looks a little interesting. I know Descalfani has looked pretty well, but I mean, it's Houston. Their bats can just go crazy at any time. I also think yesterday, I mean, we had Dubon, Bregman, and Abreu. Dubon is the one that looks like really good. That kind of got them the win yesterday. I kind of expect like them to do a little better and have like the notable bats kind of stand up. Boston's looking really good though. I think we talked about it yesterday. Like, oh, Boston, they're looking insane. And I check my phone. You're like Boston nukes. I'm like, should have gotten to Boston.
Yeah, well, they did well in the first inning, and then they cooled off for a bit, and then they put up a couple more to finish the game. I think what they finished with six, but um, I just think Kikuchi is liable to get lit up at some point sooner or later. So I think I might just take a risk there. And I guess the teams, if you want to match up the data with Ballpark Pal, Minnesota, Baltimore, and Milwaukee look the best. So pretty
Hmm.
much lines up with Stochastic, which is what you like to see.
Seattle looks good against Mason Miller. Never heard of that guy, but they're just playing Oakland, and obviously that's kind of a secondary stack that's you shouldn't really get to many. But if you have a main stack that's like Toronto, like that's going to be what you focus on. Get a couple Seattle bats, maybe mix in a couple Boston bats, or just get all the Seattle bats that you can, depending on your salary. And it's just weird. Anytime I see Oakland, I just think that the team that is facing Oakland should be like number one stack, just because Oakland is so bad.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
fair.
all right, home run calls. lead us off.
All right. So obviously, you got to take a Milwaukee bat. Gonna go William Contreras. Then I'm gonna take a twin, go Jorge Polanco, and then finish off with Patrick Wisdom.
I hate Minnesota so much. But I'm with you. I'm gonna go Byron Buxton. I'm gonna go Mike Trout against Steven Matz, and then I'm gonna go Willie Adames.
Yeah,
I
Milwaukee's
honestly,
due for a couple probably.
yeah, I actually forgot about the Schwarber call yesterday. So that was kind of good to see. I thought I
Hmm.
got off. I thought I was like saying something, and then I'm like, no, you know what? Let's go with this guy. I looked back. I'm like, oh my god, I did call him. I think that pretty much covers it. You got any final thoughts or anything?
No, just a huge slate. Uh, you can't really go wrong. In terms of if you want to take someone off crazy stack, go for it. Uh, take a stand at pitcher. I would just focus on obviously K props or some guy around 5.5, 6.5, and then if they're projected to win, that'd be better. So that's where I'm going to land between Brown, Urias, Ryan, somewhere between those one of those three guys, and then see if I have enough money for some Milwaukee, Boston, or Minnesota bats.
Nice. Yeah, kind of just reiterating that, don't be afraid to take some shots on some stacks or a couple bats that shouldn't be getting as high on. This is a massive slate. For all we know, Cincinnati can just win like 11-1. Probably not, but there's just instances where there's so many games being played on a main slate that almost anything can happen.
Yep.
So yeah, that pretty much covers it. So just make sure to follow us on Twitter because that's where we will drop our main slate lineup probably what 10-15 minutes before. I'll link the stochastic tools in the description in case you guys want to get started on that, and make sure to just like and subscribe.